Hey, so I'm in Yerevan. I had my photos taken professionally in Gyumri so that I could get my Canadian passport renewed instead. Um, because I was talking to the consulate of Canada here. So, I had a really strong feeling that they wouldn't do it right, so I booked a hotel just in case they say it's not done right, even though I showed them in Gumri, the photographer, exactly the size that needs to be done. So I showed it to the lady that works at the consulate, and she's like, they're not going to accept this. And she's like, you're very smart that you knew to book a hotel. So I had to go get a professional photo done at a studio here in Yerevan. And so she's like, you're gonna have to go because it's only open until 1. And my driver from Gyumri to Yerevan got lost. So for 45 minutes, we're trying to find this place. Finally, we found it. I'm so lucky, literally like 5 to 10 minutes before they closed. So I went there and I just signed my papers quickly because I already had it print. Like I did it online and then I just sent it to her through an email, the applications, and I paid everything online from ahead of time. So she's like, bring the photos, give it to the receptionist, and I'll let you know tomorrow morning if the photo is acceptable. Like, yete jisht chapov radzen. If not, you're gonna have to get it done one more time and then send it again tomorrow. So I hope it works out this time. Guys, me being in Yerevan after 3 hours, my head is already hurting and I want to go back to Gyumri. Okay, so listen to this randomness, okay? So when I was waiting for my photos to be developed and printed out, I just went by near like anything close by where I can have coffee or something, right? So I ended up seeing like a pho place. So I ended up having pho. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like having my pho. And all of a sudden I see this man coming, like, and the way I'm sitting is I see him, right? And he's walking past, and I chose to sit outside, and I'm like, hold on a second, I know this guy. We went to Jordan together. He's in some of my videos. He's an older man. So I go right up to him, I'm like, hi. He's like, hey. He gives me a huge hug. He's like, Tala, there's this guy, he's taking people to Japan. Do you want to come to Japan? We're going in January. I'm like, no, I can't. I'm going back to Jordan. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. He's like, there's the war in Israel. Yeah, so he's just like, aren't you afraid? He's like, there's a war. Anything can happen. You're going to Aqaba. It's like right at the border of Israel. I'm like, no, why would I be scared? It's safe there. Anyhow, I'm like, are we safe here in Armenia? What's the difference? This is a war zone. I'm leaving a war zone and I'm going to another war zone. He's like, you're right. And I'm like, you know, he's also like, he's so into dangerous stuff. I'm like, you know us, you know how we operate. We go where there's danger. And he starts laughing hysterically. He's like, that's so true. So he's from Armenia and he went to Syria to work when ISIS was like destroying Syria. During that time he was there and he never left. He stayed there for years and he even learned Arabic and everything. So look at the alignment. What's the chance of me seeing him, right? Like, out of everybody that I could have bumped into, or nobody really, and the timing, he's like, I'm going to meet a few of my people and few of my buddies and friends. And so one of the cab drivers that picked me up at the consulate and took me back to get my photos, like the second time the photos done. So the first photos, they were correct. It's just that it was too small. They needed to be like a little bit bigger. So I went to the studio and the guy that picked me up, he's like, you're an Armenian from Canada? He's like, your Armenian is perfect. He's like, how did you learn Armenian like this, the way you speak? He's like, there's no professional private, like the way you speak schools in Canada. And he goes, and they speak Armenian at home? He goes, in Canada? He's like, you're, there's something fishy here. Nobody believes me anyways. That's why I don't tell people I'm from Canada, because, so that's why I just tell people I'm like from the Middle East, you know? I speak the dialect, the Armenian dialect from the Middle East. Listen, I grew up at a time where there was a lot of discipline from a really young age to learn Western Armenian. And when I say discipline, I'm telling you hardcore discipline. Hardcore. Where in this age, it would be considered abuse. And yeah, I mean, there have been times that when I would associate with more and more like local Gumretsis, I would lose my dialect because I would start speaking like the Gumri people. But now that I've pulled back and I'm starting to get back into my Western dialect, so, and I can't easily forget it because I'm in my late 30s. So that's it for the night. That's it. Should have my renewed passport by February. I'm back home. That was pretty interesting. You know, one of the things that I'm really gonna miss about Armenia once I leave, especially when I leave permanently, are the drivers. It's never a dull moment with Armenian drivers. The second I get in the car, I never start conversations. It's always them, and it goes on for hours. It always leads to politics and war. And the way they talk, like engage with me, is with so much passion. Like they talk with their hands, they talk with their feet, they get all fiery and riled up. It's very fun. It's very fun. That's definitely one of the things I'm always gonna miss. Very deep, heartfelt conversations always take place. I can't be the only one that experiences this when I travel through cities and like regions and even just down the neighborhood.